Today, we'll be looking at which SD cards are best for video and explaining which numbers are important when looking to buy a card for your camera. Hey, Joel Garman here with Videoshift Media. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. So you're looking to buy a new mirrorless camera, DSLR, or camcorder to shoot some epic new video content. A lot of these options still use SD cards as the recording media, but it can be very confusing when trying to find out which card you'll need for your specific camera choice, with all the different speed categories and numbers on SD cards. So let's explain what you'll typically see on an SD card, some good brands to look for, and if you stick around till the end, some other common types of recording media for video. So step one, when you're looking at recording media for your camera, make sure you have the correct media type. If you're sure it's an SD card that you need, this is what a typical SD card looks like.
Okay, so now the first thing you'll notice when you look at an SD card is a bunch of markings on the card itself. SD cards have a few different standards, and it's always going to be SD followed by two letters. So SD standard is really small, it's only up to 2 gigs of storage. Then the next one up is SDHC standard, which is cards that are over 2 gigabytes in size and up to 32 gigabytes in size. Then you have SDXC, which is what most of us are going to be using for video, and that's over 32 gigs in size, which is a pretty decent size. I tend to have over 64 gig sized SD cards, but SDXC is 32 gigabytes up to 2 terabytes. So that's a huge range of cards that 99% of us will fall into this category. And then you have another standard after that, which is for really big SD cards, which is SDUC, which is 2 terabytes up to 128 terabytes. I don't even know how you can get cards this big. This is massive. The main two you want to worry about is whether it's SDHC or SDXC. The micro SDs can fall into these categories as well. Now, the other really important thing to know when shooting video is your write speed on the card. This is how fast your camera will record your video onto the card. If your write speed is too fast for your media, you won't be able to record properly. Now, here's where it gets a little bit tricky. Card manufacturers usually show maximum read and write speeds that the card is actually capable of. However, this is more relevant for photographers. In video, the main important thing to look at is actually the minimum write speed of the card, because we don't want the minimum write speed to drop too low for our video recording. Another annoying thing that card manufacturers do is include lots of different class speeds on SD cards. Class 1 to 10 is a standard, which maxes out at class 10. Also, UHS 1, 2, and 3 is another standard, which maxes out at U3 for short. And the video speed class is V30, V60, and V90 is the latest and fastest standard. These numbers actually make a little more sense. V30 represents 30 megabytes a second, V60 represents 60 megabytes a second, and V90 represents 90 megabytes a second, which is the minimum write speeds that the card can drop to. So this is the important standard that we want to look at for video. This makes the V series class speed the most important number on the card for video. If the card doesn't have this on it, which is sometimes the case, which is really annoying, it may have a slower speed than you need. But sometimes the card will only have class 10 and U3 on it. So looking at this chart here, what we're looking at is the type of video that we're looking to record. So this is a super handy chart. You feel free to screenshot this one, guys, with the minimum write speeds of the card that we were just talking about. So for full HD video, which is pretty much the standard now, you're going to want a minimum write speed of V30. V30 is the same class speed as UHS 3. What I want you guys to focus on is the V class series here. And then V60 will do most 4K video standards as well. And then V90 is for really high speed or high bitrate 4K, or even up to 8K as well.
So how do you work out the speed you'll need for video recording? Write speed is measured on the card in megabytes per second. However, on your camera, video is recorded in megabits per second. Now, it's really important to know that megabits and megabytes are two different sizes. Megabits are shown as MB with a little b for bit, and megabyte has a big B, or B for byte. And this is where a lot of people get confused. There are actually 8 megabits to 1 megabyte. For example, people think when they see 100 MB write speed on an SD card, they mistake the megabytes for megabits, when actually their camera is recording at 100 megabits per second. So 8 bits to a byte means in order to record 100 megabits a second, you actually only need a minimal write speed of 12.5 megabytes a second.
Since a V30 card has a minimum write speed of 30 megabytes a second, we're actually fine, because 30 megabytes times 8 is 240 megabits a second. So that's the maximum that we could record on this card. So this is a great calculation to do to avoid paying like premium dollars for the fastest card because you just don't know about class speeds. You can actually save yourself a lot of money and buy a cheaper SD card by doing this calculation of what your camera can do. Higher megabit recording, like high quality 4K recordings, may need faster cards like the V60 series or a V90 even. But try not to make the mistake of buying these super fast SD cards unless your camera actually needs it. Don't fall into the SD Max write speed marketing trap. I honestly think they have made it this confusing for people on purpose in order to sell more expensive cards. It's quite rude. Lastly, I'll show you guys this website converter. It's one I've found simply by Googling megabits to megabytes on Google. It's the simplest way to double check the minimal write speed you'll need for your camera or the minimum write speed that the SD card you're looking at will do. I'll make sure to link this one in the description box below, guys, so feel free to bookmark that one.
It was a bit of a technical video today, but as a quick bonus, some great brands of SD cards to look out for are Panasonic SD cards, Sony Tough Series SD cards, or cheaper but still reliable third-party brands like SanDisk Extreme Pro cards or Angelbird cards are all great choices. Also, a lot of newer cameras now come with dual SD card slots, which is great for removing any chance of losing your footage by recording to 2 cards simultaneously for that redundancy as well. Now, there are many types of media out there for cameras like S/S cards, CF Express cards, CFast cards, just to name a few, but the same rules for recording video apply across the board. It's just SD cards that I see are getting confusing with the marketing that the card manufacturers themselves are putting out there. So I just wanted to clear that up today. And well, that's it for now, guys. So if you remember only one thing from this video, make it 8 bits to a byte. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.